So, it looks like the collapse of the government of national unity has finally arrived, and this has very serious implications for our country. Indications are that the ANC will move to oust DA ministers because they refuse to vote for the fiscal framework and revenue proposals. It's both stupid and selfish for the ANC and the DA to allow this government to disintegrate simply because of their ideological differences. With our country grappling with the highest levels of unemployment, crippling poverty, and an economy that is teetering on the edge, we cannot afford the political games that these two parties are playing. Hello everyone, welcome back to Joe Talks Politics. I am your host, Joseph Musia. Let's get right into it. I said at the time of the formation of the GNU that I thought it was the best outcome for South Africa under the circumstances. But I also warned that there were extremists on both sides who would do their utmost to ensure that it failed. If the recent developments are anything to go by, it seems the extremists will get their way, and to hell with South Africa.
The DA have locked themselves into an unenviable position. And they can now see that they put themselves into a cul-de-sac. It is a most unpleasant position that they've locked themselves into. This evening, John Steenhuisen made contact with me and said, "Where do we go now?" And I said, "John, the ball is entirely in your court." And he asked, "Does the ANC say we should leave the GNU?" I said, "The ball is in your court. You have put yourself in this position. So you need to work your way out. You took a decision in the committee. That was the choice you made. And he tried to argue that the position that was adopted is no different from the position that they had put up in either cabinet or outside." And I said, the reason why the ANC, through our chief whip, embarked on a process of consulting all parties, as we did when we formed the GNU, was to show leadership. We are the ones, whether you like it or not, who are leading this GNU. And we therefore have a responsibility to demonstrate that leadership.
ANC can't be in government without the DA. That's just simple at the moment. And the ANC hopefully knows that. And in coalitions worldwide, you have to make compromises. The DA is prepared to make compromises, and we have made compromises. The ANC refuses to make any compromises. They want to dictate the terms as if they're still a 50% plus one government, which they of course aren't, and that reality still has to sink in. The ANC first looked very clear to make some compromises, which we were pleased about, but it did not take long before they recanted and retracted all of those and insisted that they still call all the shots. And we are very concerned about that.
Let's take a moment to look at where South Africa stands today. Our unemployment rate is staggering. Over 30% of South Africans are without jobs, and in many communities, this number is even worse. We are facing systemic poverty that affects millions. South Africa's economy is barely growing, and the social fabric of the nation is being tested as people struggle to survive. Yet, what are the two major political parties doing? They are more focused on their ideological purity than addressing the existential crisis that our country faces. The ANC, for all its historical significance, has failed to steer South Africa towards prosperity. The DA, despite its criticism of the ANC, seems just as willing to turn a blind eye to the urgency of the moment. And that is hypocritical. Both parties have allowed ideological differences to prevent cooperation, even though both should realize that the survival of the country depends on some form of compromise. They are more focused on scoring political points than addressing the needs of the millions of struggling South Africans. The Government of National Unity was born out of the country's need to rescue the nation from 3 decades of misrule by the ANC. The voters made it clear that they would no longer give that party carte blanche to do as they please. Sure, the Government of National Unity has its problems, but we cannot afford to throw it away at the whims of a few political elites whose loyalties lie more with ideology than with the well-being of the nation. The GNU is collapsing because of the stubbornness on the part of both the ANC and the DA. What will come next? The alternative is grim. The collapse of the GNU will leave a vacuum that could very well be filled by extremist factions on both sides. Who is the ANC looking to govern with? The MKP? The EFF? Yes. Some have called these parties the ANC's natural partners because they somehow profess to be of the same ideology. Is it true, Mr. President? You, Jacob Zuma, and Julius Malema are cut from the same cloth? Okay, when they are unguarded, the ANC's ideological purists have stated that they don't like the DA because it is a white party. So the extremists in the ANC are mainly African nationalists who, in my opinion, are not different from white Afrikaner nationalists. How can the ANC want to remove one of the partners to the GNU because they have a different view on a specific item on the budget? How does that make sense? Was it the understanding when they negotiated the coalition that everyone would agree to their legislative proposals? The DA and the majority of the political parties in parliament oppose the VAT increase because they have constituencies they answer to. Perhaps the ANC was spoiled by the fact that for a 40% party, they ended up with over 60% of cabinet posts. That was never right. And that is why they believe that they are the government and everyone else is there at their behest. It is not so. All those parties are there because they were voted for. The DA is not without fault either. The accusation that they have behaved in government like they are still in the opposition is correct. They speak about DA ministers as if they are in competition with all the others. That is wrong. There is only one government. There isn't an ANC government and a DA government. So that posture is very problematic. Without the ANC, the DA is likely to become just another minority party that is unable to affect meaningful change. Even though it looks like decisions have already been made, the ANC and the DA must understand that their ideological differences are secondary to the well-being of South Africa. They must put aside their political loyalty to party and ideology and start putting South Africa first. The country cannot afford another 5 years of political deadlock. The future of millions of South Africans depends on the ability of these parties to work together, even if it means compromising on certain policies and values. The status quo is no longer tenable. The economy is on the brink, poverty is rampant, and millions are unemployed. If the ANC and DA continue to prioritize their ideological loyalties over the needs of the country, it will be disastrous for all of us. If you enjoyed this episode, please comment, like, and share it. Please don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next one.